television. Today, we are going to be discussing the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan and its implications to Africa and Nigeria in particular. Today, as our guest, we have the director, Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. He's also a research fellow in exile at the Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is also an expert in ethno-religious conflicts with particular focus on Black Africa and Middle East. He is Dr. Nwankwo Tony Nwaezeigwe. Dr. Tony. Dr. Tony. Hello, Dr. Tony. Yes, I know you're here. Did you hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so let us know, what do you think about the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan?
Well, what I think about it, or what is happening, or what we expect to happen in future, the point is the Taliban takeover is a long history of Islamic perseverance, Islamist perseverance, especially the radical ones, an innate Islamic behavior most of us here in Nigeria and Africa do not understand or do not accept. You find that right from the Soviet invasion, that Afghanistan has not been very stable because of the inherent nature of the fundamental, its fundamentalism, Islamic fundamentalism. You see, this Taliban, they started as students. Immediately after the Soviet, exit, and you find that when Soviet Union, invaded Afghanistan in 1979, that was actually at the peak of the Cold War. And you could see those people who were opposed to the Soviet Union were equally supported by the West, including America and Britain. And so they came up, that's the problem, we have in most of these capitalist Christian countries, who normally, look broadly at their specific national interests more than the historical survival of their various nations. They supported the Taliban, and the Taliban took over. And when the Taliban took over from minor, element, students, when they took over, they were there being what? Storehouse of fundamentalism. You discover before the rise of ISIS, that Al-Qaeda had been there. Al-Qaeda, which was bred by Ibn Laden, moved from Saudi Arabia to Sudan, from Sudan to Afghanistan, from where he organized the 9/11 onslaught on America. And remember, it was after that September 9, 1999, that US decided to do away with the Taliban government together with Saddam Hussein of Iran. And after ousting them, imposing their own type of democracy, they retreated. The problem normally is when you impose an external value system over an existing, highly proactive, internal structural character of a society, it only lasts for a long. Because it doesn't really permit democracy, as far as the Muslims are concerned. It's only an elitist phenomenon. It has nothing to do with the grassroots, who are too taught on the intricacies of traditional Islamism. And now that they've taken over, we're going to see a reemergence of fundamentalist insurgency throughout Africa in particular, and the Middle East. I give you the reasons. Yes, I give you the. Yes.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yes. let me tell you one thing. Their coming up was as a result of miscalculation by United States of America, and also their intelligent calculation of the political dynamics of the United States. President Trump, who first met them in 2018 and in 2020 signed an agreement, had one thing in common. First, that the issue of being a storehouse for Al-Qaeda and ISIS, which they agreed. And then the United States decided to withdraw their troops with the proviso that there must be an agreement with the ruling government. Unfortunately, when Trump left, they envisaged that President Bush will be too weak to confront them, because I know if Trump were to be in power, Trump should have forced them to adhere to the letter, to adhere to the letter of the agreement, which is negotiation while they're pulling off their troops, and they must negotiate with the ruling government. And that was the reason. And we're seeing it now. So you
believe that it is the fault of, so you believe it is the fault of the US government that and their decision to withdraw their military support that this is happening?
Yes, without making sure that the Taliban were actually ready to implement the letter of the agreement. Yes, because if actually President Bush is actually as strong as Trump, he should have recall back his troops and stop them from this menace they are causing. And look at this. The funniest thing about Afghanistan, you see people running to the West. These are sworn Muslims, like a typical Nigerian Roman Catholic will say, I was born a Roman Catholic, I will die a Roman Catholic, and I laugh over them. Me, I was born into tradition, I will die under tradition. African tradition. That's my identity. And they said, and then when real Islamism comes, they fled. And these are the same people who will go to Britain and America and Europe and Germany and be talking about instilling the values of Islam in those societies, whereas they are running away from their own Islamism. Like somebody like Ilham Omar of United States House of Representatives, who left Somalia and ran to the United States and is there promoting Islam. And when President Trump bombed, carried the airstrike against Al-Shabaab in Somalia, she was the first to condemn Donald Trump. But you ran away from the same place. So there's what I call, a kind of hypocrisy among the Muslims, which always tend to a state of harakiri. That's the way I see it, and we are seeing it developing in Africa today. Today, let's look at Africa. West Africa. In Burkina Faso, the Muslims are just about 40%. They are fighting in northern that side. For what? For the takeover of the government, to Islamize it. And these are the people jubilating over the success of Taliban in Afghanistan. In Mali, you see the Tuaregs are aligned to Al-Qaeda of West Africa, also fighting to overthrow the secular government led by the Bambara in Mali. You also go to what is it? Central African Republic. The Muslims are only 6.5%, and they succeeded through the help of their Muslim firepower, Chad and other Arab countries, to overthrow the government. The government of a country, Central African Republic, where the Christians are over 80%, save for the intervention of the Western powers. And then you go to where Congo Democratic Republic, Eastern Congo, is still facing the same insurgency today. What is their percentage there? 10% of the population in Congo DRC. Then you go to Mozambique, where they are only 6%. They're also carrying out their own insurgency. We are not talking of Somaliland, which is 99.9% Muslims. That is their tradition. And look at African Union. African Union was quick to set up a committee, to investigate the atrocities in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. But they've refused to look at the intricacies, the security inherent in the activities of these Islamic insurgencies in Africa. It is only the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame, that is taking a proactive action on his own alone. He has his troops. Rwanda is a small country, but a disciplined country. He has his troops in Mali, checkmating the Al-Qaeda there. He has his troops in Central African Republic, checkmating the fundamentalists there in South Africa. He also, now his troops in Mozambique are routing the Islamists there. And you have South Africa. You have Mozambique. These are big countries in the South African Democratic Cooperation countries. And they could not do anything. And we're watching it. So we must look at the generality, the general implications of the fall of the democratic government in Afghanistan to Taliban before coming back to our country. First, you look at the pattern before Donald Trump. Actually, the Saudi Arabia used to be the main sponsor of the fundamentalist groups. Now it is what? It is Qatar. Qatar hosted Bin Laden for some time. Qatar is hosting Hamas fighting Israel in a Gaza Strip. The same Qatar also hosted Taliban. You can now see that most of us, we try to overlook the main sources of problems and then look at the periphery in terms of internal affairs, political dynamics of a nation. And let us even look at what happened in Afghanistan today. The president who only flew with one plane, maybe loaded with some dollars, as they said. And I'm saying it today in Nigeria. First, I don't blame the Muslims. I don't blame the fundamentalists, because they are working in line with the provisions of the Holy Quran, which gave them, like the SY communists, which gave them the injunction to conquer the whole world for Islam. But I blame the Christians too, the Christian leaders, who are not willing to stand up to their faith. And I laugh over the whole issue when I see people like Adeboye, what's his name, Oyedepo, buying aeroplanes. They're not talking about the suffering of Christians. They are interested in who will pay tithes, who will pay their distance. By the time it happens, the most they can escape is one plane, one aeroplane with their families packed. All those auditoria, all of them will be finished. So I've written, in 2017, let me begin. In 2016, I went to court when the federal government signed military alliance with Islamic war. When the federal government under President Buhari, 2016, signed Islamic alliance, military alliance with Islamic, including Saudi Arabia, and nobody asked the question. You have ECOWAS, you have ECOWAS, you have African Union. You're also under United Nations. Why should you now sign a military alliance with an Islamic group of nations? Yes, Islamic group of nations. I went to court. I met some people. They did not even listen to me. They took it as if I was looking for money. For Christ's sake, I am, those who know me in my town, they know that right from time, and those who know me from University of Nigeria and Nsukka are aware that money has been my objective in my battle for human rights in this country. I have a place. I can boast anybody in UN who can say that I've abused to that, I've extorted money, or I'm selfish, or anybody from my town, in data state, that can say that. Let him come out and say it. I've been selfless in my struggle. And I went to court, the cause of one person. And the case, because of the court that they went after me, that I'm out of the country today. And people Even Christians are colluding with the same Fulani government to extinguish my life. But the God who knows that I am selfless has always been protecting me. In 2017, I wrote a letter to all the Christian leaders, intimating them about the present danger. This is a letter of all the general overseers and church leaders. I wrote, warning them about the present situation in Nigeria. Only Adeboye, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, replied me, and that's the letter signed by him. And you can only tell me praying for me. Well, I thank him because his prayers have been guiding me. But praying for me was not enough. You have to put proactive tension. I remember during Jonathan's time, the same Pastor Adeboye proposed what 1 million march against insurgency. Jonathan's inability to bring up, to help the insurgency in the north. Today, he's not talking about that. He's only talking about new helicopter, his plane, and so on and so forth, and whatever happens. And who again? Pastor Bakare Tunde, a theory pastor who has been talking and talking, came out with this present President Buhari, demonstrated against President Jonathan over the insecurity in this country. Where are these people? I'm not against the Muslims. I'm against the Christians, Christian leaders who I refuse to understand, to appreciate, to have the feeling of the continuously flowing of innocent blood in all parts of this country. From the Middle Belt, from the north, from Zamfara, Niger, to the southeast, and even southwest and south. Nobody's talking about. Every Sunday, they will go into the church, preach about tithe, preach about within, accumulating useless wealth, which they will never go with. Now, let me put it down. It is not, it does not take an ordained priest to prophesy. When Samuel prophesied to Eli, Samuel was not ordained a priest. And I'm prophesying here in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ that any GO that refused to take into cognizance, to come out in fully and fight against the killing of Christians in this country, may what happened to TB Joshua happen to him. I am saying this because the life of a common throat pusher, the life of a common throat pusher in Nigeria is the same thing with the life of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you
because
so much.
Because when you are born as a kid, let me finish, please. Allow me, let me conclude. When you are born a kid, you don't know what you'll be tomorrow. You don't know what you'll be, whether you be a head of state, whether you be a professor. It is God that will ordain. And so when you feel that the life of ordinary people are useless because they are not occupying important position at that time, you face a serious judgment from God. And that judgment, unless you take proactive action to redeem our land, the same judgment, what is in Taliban, is at our doorstep now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. It seems that I'm trying to cut you so we can follow your discussion, so you don't just give us the whole submission all at once. It's going to be hard for people to assimilate it. So why do you think Nigerian Christian leaders have reduced their activism in this current administration?
Yes, first of all, if you look at, because money, you see, when your interest is primitive accumulation, you are separated, you are divorced from the depth of spirituality. So spirituality talks about austere life, about trying to stay away from mundane things. The more you become spiritual, the more you become conscious of the sufferings of your society and how to redeem your society. But the more you become too material, accumulating wealth, the more a sense of judgment, sense of moral judgment departs from you. What is it? I had 3 cars in Nigeria, 4, all of them BMW from X5 to the least one E36. Am I riding them now? Even if I go back to Nigeria now, I will no longer use the cars because they're already outdated. So they fail. Their interest is accumulation. When Orisha Jeffo was camp president, he raised this issue. And then the Sultan was respecting the Christian leadership in this country. But it was the same Christian leaders who colluded against him. And then since he left, Christian leadership has become a pawn of Sokoto Caliphate today. It's not a question. People like Dogonyaro, people like Asemota, Solomon Asemota, they were out fighting for redemption of Christians. Solomon Asemota and Professor Nwaezeigwe were my lawyers in my case, which was transferred to Abuja today, challenging the Islamization of this country in 2016. And they went after me. Nobody talked after me. Even my Igbo leaders were saying, leave this man to die off. But you are not my creator. So the issue is that our Christian leaders are now overburdened with money. They are eating bribe. You see, the kind of people that they needed to be flogged in the way Jesus Christ flogged those, those money changers in the temple for them to rise up. So our major problem, our Christian leaders, not the followers, not the Muslims, because when you bring a strong leadership, your opponents are bound to respect you. And that was the case of Orisha Jeffo when he was president of Christian Association of Nigeria. He stood his ground with that spirit of South-South spirit. He stood his ground. And today I'm proud to be a South, even though I'm in Igbo, but my spirit is more of a South-South protagonist of freedom than an Igbo ethnic membership. And that is why I love my identity as a South-South person. So that is the problem. Our leaders, until the members decide to protest against their leaders, against their Christian leaders. Listen, I wrote to the Oni of Ife. I wrote to the Oba of Benin. Your kingdom is losing its grip. Remember when your ancestors ruled from Boni to Dahomey? It's not a question of wearing beads and going out. We are protecting your inheritance. You are going to be condemned by even your ancestors if you refuse to stand forth for the maintenance of your inheritance. And I'm saying it because they think they are protected. Those big men, the other time, the police chief, the head of police, Nafan, was executed in a cold blood. Where were his guys? Where were all his protection when he was picked up by Taliban and executed? So in a land under chaotic situation, not even the best protected is safe. So this is a general battle. Not the last night, about 15 innocent people were murdered in Southern Kaduna. Nobody talks about that. They've been killing in Plateau. Nobody talks about that. But when the Christians in Plateau retaliated once, the president made an announcement, they must investigate. They've never talked about investigating all the killings in Zamfara, all the killings in Niger, all the killings in Plateau and Southern Kaduna. Only that one that these people said, you kill us, we are going to retaliate. Then they set up. Even the so-called Malu governor, Lalong, was saying that, yeah, he was even imposing curfew. They were killing Christians in the same Jos, even University of Jos, to the fact that the university is closed now. He has never imposed curfew. Don't you see that there's something wrong with the Christian leaders in that country? Don't you think they are mad? Don't you think they're insane? That evil spirit is in them. Your people are dying. You think you are defending them because everybody wants to die. Please, I have died 100 times, and God said you will not die. And I tell you, even where I am, the Nigerian government are still going around. But I thank God that the government, in their country, is to a practical government that knows justice, that can investigate before they take any action. So that is problem with our leadership.
Okay, let's go back to the implications of Africa and Nigeria. You know of the domino theory. Can you use this to explain the happenings in Afghanistan and how it's going to affect Africa, especially in the international scene?
First of all, the weakness. If you listen to Tony Blair was actually one of initiators of Western troops to Afghanistan. If you remember what he said it was a very bad option, international policy option, and he was blaming Boris Johnson. He failed in that they should have waited and make sure that the transition was complete before pulling out. So the point is that we rely more on the power of Western government to protect us. And now Joseph Biden has said that United States will no longer commit their troops to defend any other people. And that is happening in Africa today. Today in West Africa, where France was, had been dominant in the presence of their troops, all the Francophone countries have French troops. They've decided to reduce them because they want, or they feel that we are not proactive. We are not fighting on. We are still under the cloak. We have not actually developed the spirit of true independence, which was the ideas, which were the original ideas of Pan-Africanism imposed by our earlier Pan-Africanists. People like Du Bois, people like Marcus Garvey, people like Sylvester Williams, and people like, let me just stop here. Yes, we are not talking about, because when you are really African and I understand that you are oppressed right from history, you'll be able to develop an independent thought, an independent way of defending yourself, the way our ancestors fought against the superior power of the colonial Europe. But today, African Union is a lame duck association, and they are under the cloak. We're under the domino of Arab war. Look at what happened recently. That Israel was given observer status, and some stupid black African countries were opposing it because of Palestine. Palestine is not our problem. We already have problems. Insurgency, and this insurgency have roots in Islamism, which is rooted in Arab countries. Why can't our African leaders in Africa, come back and reassess our relationship with the Arab world? You can't be telling us about Palestine and Israel when here you are gradually making us taking down our blood through your insurgencies. The insurgencies are never from the West, they're never from Israel. But Israel presents the only effective, active antidote against insurgency. And these are the people, the same Arabs, Labour, Algeria, even South Africa. South Africa is even talking about apartheid between Israel and what is happening is xenophobia. Black man's inhumanity to black man. And South Africa is leading the campaign against Israel. It's awkward. I can't understand. The African leadership is worse now than even before their colonization. So what I'm saying is that there must be a strong, proactive unity within the black African states. Remove religion. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, the basic thing is survival. Today, all the Western world have been flooded by Muslims. If Islam is so important, if Islam is a peace-loving religion, why are their members running to the West to enjoy Western democracy built on the threshold of Christian faith? That's the major question we must ask ourselves, especially for those who are using AK-47, maybe Christian intelligence, to even launch their jihad. You have to ask your question. These are the issues we have to raise.
Okay, now I can see some hands up. Let us try to accommodate some hands. Elder Tango, your hand is up.
Ask him to unmute.
Thank you.
Yes, I've asked him to unmute.
Most of this he said is it's okay, but I want to add my own part of story, my knowledge about these people, because I have some physical seeing them, contact with them, and in 80s, knowing how dangerous this people is. Mujahideen born Taliban born Al Qaeda. So the problem we have that time is that all the investigations were open, all the reports were open, but America was after Cold War with Russia. Although Russia invaded Afghanistan, Russia invaded Afghanistan. But when Mujahideen start, those that formed this Taliban, they called the Holy War of Freedom Fighters, Mujahideens. These people in Afghanistan today are they're not all Afghanistan. They come up, they assemble themselves all over the world. Very close to Peshawar border with Pakistan. Yeah, Afghanistan border with Pakistan. Because when I visited here, I stopped in Delhi, from Delhi to Islamabad, Pakistan. I go by road, very dangerous route. We move there down to Peshawar border. Nigerian mission. Nigeria has mission there. They call it Nigerian mission in Peshawar, very close to Galaxy Hotel. Galaxy Hotel. Nigeria has a mission there. What they are doing there, I don't know. A stone throw across the border is greenhouse, just like a Muslim university. It's where Bin Laden ran to when he left Sudan. When Gaddafi noticed, Gaddafi is the one who drove Bin Laden out of Sudan. He ran there because Bin Laden wasn't among the people that started that school. The school had been existing, but Bin Laden, being a rich man and the fanatics and well-educated, they needed his assistance. So when Mujahideen were fighting Russia, America supports them, bless their effort. Russia, being clever, knowing what they know, Russia abandoned everything, even dump more ammunition for them and go, knowing that this weapon we want to use for somebody else. Although those are articulated tanks, Russia tanks, and these are Fokker aircraft. Russia abandoned without a pin and left Afghanistan. Yeah? Russia abandoned all and left. Okay, they succeeded. America, they form government, Taliban government, but when they form Al Qaeda base, America failed. America went to the war again, destroyed Taliban, they turned Afghanistan government again. These people go on. These people are very patient people because all the security report that time, nobody worked on it. These people are very clever. Now, Nigerian army is accepting Boko Haram into Nigerian army. Yeah. A devil is a devil forever. All these Boko Haram that take into Nigerian army will be like this Taliban. Anytime the duty call, they will see act. This is what we are seeing today. The Taliban itself formed government. Now America again. The same thing happened to Russia, happened to America. America have abandoned some weapons now. And now they are packing, and everybody knows they cannot pack all. And these people have technical. They are very all the things that Russia think that is a damaged weapon. They repair all and using it. And most of these people you see is Arab jihadists all over the world assembled in that triangle. Arab jihadists. Arab jihadists, because so far once they go, language, an expert can learn any language under 3 months. Most of them doesn't even speak Afghanistan, but so speak Arab. But once they go to their school, they will be expert language they can understand themselves. Nigeria must wake up. Because if we didn't wake up, when these people come, we can't stand them. These people have no mercy. Nigeria must wake up earlier. Let us run when we can run. Not only Nigeria, all Africa. What Dr. Nwaezeigwe is saying is the real fact. Because if we don't start now to plan, you are taking money, where to work. We can only have that this morning when you have your safety. These people, if you see these people in action, and then I wonder what type of religion are they practicing? And my question is that somebody should investigate that Nigerian mission in Peshawar for years in 80s. Is this still there now? What was Nigerian mission during that time? Because security report, Nigerian mission knows what is happening between that Peshawar border with Afghanistan. What was there? And you cannot see anybody from southern Nigeria there. Most of them are the Muslim North working in that mission. This mission is very close. When somebody tell you something and call them, try to investigate. Hotel Galaxy, one other 3-story building, 100 meter or some meter opposite is the Nigerian mission.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elder Tango. Let us hear from the next person, Dr. Joe Oko. Dr. Joe Oko.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. I want to correct one impression. You know, the pullout of military from Afghanistan started right from the period of Trump. And I believe that the pulling out of military from Afghanistan from Trump is the beginning of the problem we are having today. Because one, Afghanistan had not been a stable country and has not been secured. There is virtually no reason why the US will pull their military, knowing very well that these people have not been subdued. I want to think that if you fight a war for a very long time, there is this attitude towards killing the zeal to fight. Americans have been there for so many years, and the Afghanistan military, they were also there. But the problem they had was that the zeal to fight back and reclaim land was not there. How can you say 75,000 Taliban against over 300,000 Afghan military? This is absurd. How can they take over Kabul with that kind of military forces? They have the air, they have the land. Taliban don't have the air, and they didn't utilize it. Now, let us bring this back home. If you look at what is happening in Nigeria, especially the northern aspect of Nigeria, recently we see a lot of Boko Haram surrendering to Nigerian army. From Libya, Niger, Chad, these are war zone areas. Those places are porous. Now that we have this challenge in our backyard, this is the right time to fight the war. Because if you leave it for a little while, and the new Taliban government begin to gather the economy of that country, and they begin to have links with Al-Qaeda, ISWAP, and Boko Haram in northern part of Nigeria, we will have a lot of challenges. And these challenges could consume the country, God forbid. So I believe that the implication of the takeover in Afghan has a dire consequence in Nigeria in both ways, because the border is so porous, we cannot even hold our borders very well. So there is a need for our government, not just religious group. There are 1,000 Christians, so many Christians that don't like what is happening, so many Muslims that doesn't like what is happening in the north. And we need to stand up and condemn it and fight the war to the finish. Because if you allow war to drag for a very long time, you see that the zeal to fight and to defend the territory will not be there. The US government believes that the Taliban will not enter the country between 30 to 90 days. They cannot get to Kabul. But to their surprise, it didn't even take up to 1 week, because the military, the Afghan military, did not challenge them anymore. The zeal to fight was not there, because their military has been pulled up. So my contribution here is that those who are our leaders, whether Christian or Muslim, life is life, and this is the right time to finish the war, instead of allowing them to completely surrender. They will not. Let them not have link with this new government in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joe. Let us hear from Adoyi Omale. Adoyi Omale, the platform is yours.
Yeah, good evening. Greetings to the House. My own contribution is simply to say that the crisis in Afghanistan, implication for Africa, is that the radical Islam, as we have seen it, is an ideology that we have to be very, very careful in Africa. With what has happened in Afghanistan, let me even say that I support Americans' withdrawal from Afghanistan. when a war drags for 20 years with the heavy costs to the economy of America, it is not sustainable, especially that the preponderance of opinion inside America. Okay, you say want me to start my video. Sorry, let me start the video. Sorry, I'm in a very dark, not too bright
Please
place.
go ahead. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I support the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan because of the volume of resources that the war is consuming. Secondly, I feel that the Taliban, because of their ideology, the majority of Afghanistan people buy into that ideology, and that is why the military that was trained by the Americans, where trillions of dollars were spent in training them, equipping them, have to drop these weapons because they identify with the Taliban. As far as I'm concerned, they believe in the Taliban, and as such, it's very unfortunate. Yes, the Americans are invading for their external force. They cannot fight, just like Biden said, they cannot force the Afghanistan army to defend their territory. The people are just not interested in fighting the Taliban. The third point I want to raise is that we in Africa, we have to be very, very careful with the resurgence of jihadist ideology all over Africa, from the Janjaweed to Al-Shabaab and ISWAP and all these religions, even the banditry we are talking in Nigeria. I don't want to believe that it is not linked to this insurgency, these jihadist tendencies, even the Boko Haram itself. So it is clear that radical Islam is on the move from Afghanistan down to various African countries. And all we need to do is to enhance public enlightenment. We have to step up and tell our people to be very, very cautious. I know that in places like Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, and most of the far northern states in Nigeria, I know that they sympathize with this Talibanic tendencies and ideology. The way when the Taliban took over in Afghanistan, a lot of people rejoiced in these places. And I keep on asking, what was it that people were gloating over Taliban taking over power in Afghanistan, in Nigeria? So it really gives cause for concern. One, we are talking about democracy, we are talking about freedom, we are talking about human rights, and an organization that does not imbibe these tenets takes over power, and some people were jubilating in Nigeria. Why were they jubilating? Because they felt that it was victory for Islam. Well, I want to say that Islam is a very good religion, no doubt. A lot of good people identify with Islamic religion. Islam preaches peace, but the radical aspect, as we are seeing with the jihadist groups, people were falling off plane in Afghanistan, not because of anything. They were falling off because the Taliban would definitely revenge after fighting for 20 years. And then all of a sudden they found themselves in power. They will want to retaliate. And that is why people were trying to move out of Afghanistan. So we in Africa will have to be very careful. The radical Islamic ideology has penetrated a lot of Africa, from Burkina Faso to Mali to Nigeria to Senegal, especially in West Africa. If you look at West Africa, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. the radical Islamic ideologues are taking a lot of foothold, and we have to be very, very careful. When you look at the Boko Haram insurgency, it started like a child's play. Oh, Mohammed Yusuf was killed, and then it started. But for 10 years now, the battle has been on. Somebody said earlier that we have to be wary of those people surrendering. That is the normal tactics of insurgents. They pretend that they have given up, and then when you embrace them, they strike. So African countries must be wary. These insurgents that are turning in their guns must be profiled. After being profiled, they must be kept under constant surveillance. For the next 20 years, they should be under proper surveillance.
Okay,
if the
thank you
security
so
agencies don't do that, then we are just playing with danger.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adoyin Omale. Let us allow the guest, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, to react to the comments that we have had so far. Dr. Tony.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want us to look at the trajectory of Boko Haram surrendering and the consequences of federal government's acceptance of their, glorifying their own surrender. First, when their leader was killed by the rival ISIS, the commander of the ISIS worldwide instructed them to do what? To admit, to integrate the Boko Haram officers into the ISIS group. But the ISIS leader commanders refused to integrate the Boko Haram officers. And that was recently, just last week, the ISIS commanders in Nigeria were reshuffled because of their failure to integrate the Boko Haram officers whose leader was killed. Their surrendering was not as a result of the difference between denouncing your ideology and surrendering to a superior power. There are two different things. They've not denounced, and they've not denounced. So bringing them in is also to support the political. They've told them, look, the Muslims were ruling Nigeria, so why are you fighting us? Come over, we give you the same place, we give you money. And they normally give them good incentives, give them nice clothes, put them in hotels, give them training, and pay them off. And they go back and be integrated into the Nigerian army, just to make sure that when the South or Christians eventually revolt, they will not be able to withstand their firepower. That is the essence of it. And further, somebody telling me that Islam is a peaceful. Islam is not a peaceful religion. The Bible is very, very clear. Love your neighbor as yourself. It is there, black and white. But Islam chapter 5, you go to Surah, chapter 5, there's Surah 5, Al-Mahdi, in Arabic term. They take clear. Take not a Jew and a Christian as your friends, because they are friends to one another and they are against you. Whoever takes them as friends is one of them and remains condemnable. It is black and white in the Quran. And if a true Muslim is the one who adheres to the provisions of Quran, just as a true Christian can also accept, can be accepted to be so, I don't see why the idea of a Muslim being peaceful. There are grounds. If you study Danfodio's technique very well, there are 3 stages on which you can befriend a Christian. First, you should understand that to Muslim worldview, there are 2 societies. You have what? Dar Islam, the land of Islam. Then you have what? Darhab, the land of war, the land of unbelief. Then between Dar Islam and Darhab, there's what we call Dimi, a stage of transition where Muslims expected to submit, to be submissive to superior power of Christian and other religious leaders until they have the power to overcome. And when, what are we talking about? When they are friends with you, playing without denouncing that particular provision of the Quran, you can't tell them peaceful. You can't tell them that they are friends. It is only a foolish man that we think that by feeding a lion milk, by feeding fufu to a lion, that when he's hungry of his own food or flesh, that he will not eat you. It's foolish. So we must always understand our personal relationship with certain people. It's not like the Indian, it's not like the Hindu, it's not like the Buddha, it's not like our traditional religion. Islam ideology is predicated on the ideology of communism. For those who are students of communist, revolution, you understand that they have the same thing. It is total war until the war is made Islam. Just as it was total war until the whole world are communized and made communism. So let us not deceive ourselves. Let us not deceive ourselves. The only thing we need, because at times we think we have superior knowledge than some of these wild animals, because anthropology said, oh, God made, gave us a superior cranial capacity so we can think. Look, go to animal world and watch the interaction between buffaloes and lions. They say lion is a king of forest. Lion can only be a king of forest when they are united against one buffalo. And even at times, one buffalo outwits 1 to 3 lions. One. And when buffaloes gather against lion normally flees away. Yes, normally. So we must understand. Let us use the animal kingdom and understand. Let us see these Muslim insurgencies as lions, and we can take ourselves as buffaloes. When you are united, the problem with us is that we live in utopia. We're not talking of unity. You go to Anambra State, they're even calculating whether they will vote a Protestant, an Anglican, or a Roman Catholic. That's even what they're talking about. They're not even talking about the interest. People who are even talking about Igbo presidency, people like Peter Obi, or just they are not providing solutions to the intricate problem of insecurity in this country. The interest is just how to become president. And those who have ambition to rule without a solution to their present problems are only going there to commit more crimes, to commit what? They are going there to even, to be more self-suicidal than even the people they are going there to represent. So I want us to understand, let us bring down the issue of the Taliban to our land. Taliban is a Sunni Muslim. You see, Iran should have been as terrible as Taliban, but Iran is restricted because it's a Shiite Muslim, and Shiites are a minority. You can only have Shiites in Alawites in Syria, where they are defending Bashir. You can also see them in Peninsula, Arabian Peninsula. You can also see them. You can see them in Bahrain. And then in Nigeria here, the only representative of Shiites here is Islamic movement of Nigeria. You can see how they are dealing with Zaki. That's why the Sunni leaders are dealing with him, because he gets his support from Iran, being a Shiite here. That's why you see he's suffering, not because they are against it, but it's an inter-Islamic issue. Now, Taliban is a base. Why they're jubilating is that not even all the insurgencies we have in Africa today are powered by Sunni extremists. And Taliban is a Sunni Muslim. So Taliban being a government, we now be ready to provide the support for them. And if you are talking of Pakistan, if you look at the history of Nigeria, from on independence, you find that the North, through Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, have been interacting with the Arabs and Pakistan. And most of the teachers who taught in secondary schools in northern Nigeria, in a post-colonial era, even pre-colonial era, during colonial era, were imported from Pakistan. Most of the teachers in secondary schools. So there has been that long link between Nigeria and Pakistan, especially the Islamic North. So it's not an everything. And if there's a serious problem today in Nigeria, these are the people that the present regime will call to help them to fight whatever insurgency can go against them. The same thing with Turkey today. Turkey, when Ataturk took over power, and tried to introduce, secularity in Turkey, Turkey was progressing until this present man came up and then took over, and then Turkey now became one of the hubs of Islamic extremism. And these are the people who are so indebted to this regime in Nigeria that it is right time Nigeria starts to build their own, Nigeria and Africa. Let me talk about Nigeria, because I am disappointed in President Goodluck Jonathan of all the good ways he has. Jonathan is accepted to be special envoy of ECOWAS in Mali conflict without an iota of sympathy, an iota of interest to the debilitating security situation of this country. These are the kind of problems we have in Nigeria. So the point is that it is important that Nigerian leaders should reach out to African leaders, cooperate with those who are having the same problem, and how to route it up. We have to decide whether to wait till the period, till Taliban period comes in, or we start now to think of dying now, because death is death. Whether you die tomorrow or die today, only God determines when you die. But unfortunately, those people who are dying now are not, actually, we are not destined to die according to God, but they were human mismanagement, human imposed deaths, which we must fight to stop. So let us look at internally. How do we solve the problem in Nigeria? Remove sentiment, remove religion, because as you can now see, Afghanistan is 99.9% Muslims. You could see people run away. So it's not a question. And here in Nigeria, people tend to use Islam. You are not. Even Muri, the so-called Muslim rights, whatever, Muri, Yoruba man, is spearheading the campaign in the Yoruba land. Whereas it was the same Islam that Afonja was met by Alimi and told him, we are all Muslims, let us team up and drive Oyo Empire. And Afonja teamed up and drove and destroyed Oyo Empire and came back and got himself murdered by the same Alimi, taking his position that today you have Emir of Ilorin, a Fulani man ruling Yoruba community. So let us be historically conscious. The problem with Nigeria is that we don't look back. We don't think of history. Let us be carpenter in our own mentality. Let us be carpenter in our own action. A carpenter, before he drives his nail into his, must take his what? Hammer back. And the further you take it back, the stronger the force. And the more we move back to our history, the better for us to understand the present so that we can secure the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh my God. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, thank you so much for that. Let us hear from Mazi Okoye. Mazi Okoye, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Augusta. I think we got to always try to keep perspective when we discuss this kind of topics. The implication to Africa and Nigeria, the takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban. Let me say first that I respect my elder and friend, Tony Nwaezeigwe. However, I think his views on especially on religious fundamentalism is somehow a bit skewed to the other extreme that he's trying to condemn. And I don't think we can find a tangible solution running from one extreme to another. Now, the Americans living in Afghanistan today has its consequences far back when the Soviets were there. Americans supported the Taliban at the time to defeat the Soviets and promised the Taliban that they will help rebuild Afghanistan after that war. What happened is that after the war, Americans turned their back on the Taliban. At the time, the CIA was supporting Bin Laden. This is where the problem started, especially the hatred between Bin Laden forming Al-Qaeda to attack the West, because America reneged, like they just did, on their promise towards rebuilding Afghanistan at the time, which they didn't fulfill. Now, whether this what happened in Afghanistan will have implication for Nigeria, Africa is a bit, to my mind, a bit, we are fear-mongering too much, because there's a lot of Islamic countries in between Afghanistan and Nigeria or Africa. And Pakistan, for example, is an Islamic country. They have their own fundamentalist problem. And there's a lot of countries also in the Middle East that are Islamic countries that have their own Islamic fundamentalist problem. So Nigeria has its own peculiar fundamentalist problem. And I don't think we can, juxtapose two of them and say, okay, because Taliban took over Afghanistan, that likewise some fundamental Islamic group will likewise take over government in Nigeria. I think that is a bit fear-mongering, because I don't think that will ever happen. Taliban is not a terrorist organization, so to say, although the West tend to portray it that way. Taliban is not like Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Taliban never launched an attack on the West, has never done, although it allows its territory to be used for that attack on the American soil on 9/11. But to call Taliban a terrorist organization is a bit unfair, because the Taliban is not a terrorist organization. They are religious, in a way, political organization, like you have in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is similar to Taliban. The Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt is also seeking political power in Egypt, similar to what the Taliban are seeking in Afghanistan. So to be so hyped about that takeover, to me is a bit too much of hype and fear mongering, because these two countries, Afghanistan, Nigeria, are totally different countries with totally different dynamics, with totally different countries, totally different environments. Everything about Nigeria and Afghanistan is completely different. Although we have some religious aspects in terms of Islam and Christianity, but in Islam you have moderates, which far exceeds the extremists in number. So I don't think that our fear of Islamic fundamentalists taking over Nigeria is actually justified. Thank you.
Yeah, Augusta, are you there? All right, let's call on the next.
Yes. My network was breaking. I can see Stella Rumuna. Your hand is up.
Augusta, thank you so much for giving me a chance to say something. I think the implication of what happened in Afghanistan for Nigeria and Africa is that we should learn that these people are patient, they are tenacious, they can wait for centuries to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So what should that, how should we handle that? Because already we know that, call it Taliban, call it Boko Haram, call it headsmen, they are everywhere in our midst hibernating. So how do we handle that? I think number one, we should know that it's time to now learn and teach history to our children. If it doesn't happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow. And anybody telling me the chance of fundamentalists taking over Nigeria is not there, is not being sincere. Because with everything happening in Nigeria, we know that that's what happened in Afghanistan, where you will put people with those ideologies in the army. And we heard one of our leaders telling us a repentant Boko Haram can aspire to be president. I don't think it's fair for anybody to tell us that cannot happen in Nigeria. It can. What we need to do is to now learn to realize that this thing is possible. They are patient. They can pretend for a long while. And we now need to know that we ought to let our children know, listen, this is what happened. This is what is happening. We need to be focused on the fact that, nobody is trying to force everybody to be a Christian in Nigeria. But we're saying there should be freedom for those that want to be Christians to be Christians, those that want to be Muslim to be Muslims. There must be a way of ensuring that our freedom of worship and freedom of in other areas isn't taken away from us. So the implication is that we should learn from what happened, that these people can be patient for a very, very long time to achieve what they want. Knowing that, what do? We ensure that not just us, but our children, our generations know that that's what can happen. And that means we must start teaching history, letting people know what happened in the past and what is happening now and what can happen in the future. And the other thing is that Africa, Black Africa must now realize that except we are united, we stand a good chance of being exterminated. That's the way I'm looking at this matter. I tell people that what happened in South Africa with apartheid being defeated was a result of unity, including places like Nigeria boycotting Olympics because of apartheid in South Africa. It couldn't have happened before without unity, because it was like Black Africans fighting the entire Western world, including the United Nations. They couldn't have won except for unity. We must now learn to be united in the fact that for us to survive, we need to come together. No Western power is going to help us. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stella. Let us hear from Innocent Arrow. Innocent Arrow.
Good evening.
Kindly remember that when I call you, kindly remember to lower your hand down so that I would know not to call you again. Innocent Arrow.
All right, thank you. I think I've lowered it down. Thank you. Afghans, what happened in Afghan anyway? I would tell you that whatever war or whatever battle that people are fighting, there are other people benefiting from it. It's just a business, you see? So what is happening there is a business, and the business failed. And what happened now? If I said, let me put Nigerian, where we live, in context with that, we are talking about Boko Haram, We talk about the banditries in Nigeria. All these things are business. If you can listen to Donald Trump when he was talking about Afghans, he says that they have been putting billions of dollars every year and they are not seeing results. That's why he decided to pull the military out from Afghan. Why? Because he sees that because the money they are pulling in, the soldiers are still continuing putting more kind of corruption in the middle, causing them to lose a lot of things. So that's why they begin to withdraw. Then in Nigeria, if I would say, we have a lot of issues that we are undergoing now. Christian problem, Islamic, and traditional, even political. All these things are evolving in Nigeria. The problem of Afghan will never happen in Nigeria. Nigeria have a unique and a different set of problem we are undergoing. And that problem we are undergoing is being caused by negligency. What do I mean? I've lived in the northern part. I served in North, in Kaduna State, where they have Christians. The Muslims themselves, they fight each other. But the problem in our own state is religion. We are having religious problem. What do I mean? They have some Christians are extremists. The Islamics are also extremists. And whoever is saying that Islam is peaceful, I would say it's not. I've lived in Kano State. Islam is not peaceful. Their ideology is more of killing, fighting, or any other thing. You see? So that ideology is lack of knowledge and lack of education. If you have lived in Western world, you will see how they plan their area. What they plan is their rule and law, they obey it. The only thing that can keep human beings together is not religion, but education. Because when you put education in the center, people will know what they're supposed to do. Like if I put United Kingdom in place as an example, they have Islam living in there, they have Christian, Hindus, everything, but they are peaceful. It's not because they want to be peaceful, but because of the kind of education and the kind of law and how they monitor and follow up with their law, make people to obey and live in peace. So what we lack in Nigeria is not about any other thing, is that we need to feature up with this, to be sincere in everything we do. And how can we do it? It begins with
Audio, please.
Innocent, we can no longer hear you.
Mr. Innocent, I think his network is having interruption. Let's
go to another
the
person.
next person, and then we'll try to get him back when he comes back. Mr. Pamsin Dagat. Forgive my pronunciation, Mr. Pamsin. Mr. Pamsin. Mr. Pamsin, I have asked you to unmute. Try unmuting yourself now. If Mr. Pamsin is not here, we'll move on to Dr. Nnaemeka.
Thank you very much. My contribution is very simple. Anybody here who thinks that what happened in Afghanistan cannot happen in Nigeria is not in tune with the realities that we have on ground, especially over the last 6 years. How can somebody be saying this? In Nigeria, over the last 6 years, we spent $26 billion. Just the same problem we have in America. America wasted over $1 trillion in 20 years, and Biden did the right thing. You cannot defend a people that don't want to defend themselves. You cannot stop an ideology that has taken root where 97% of the people are very comfortable in what they are pursuing. Over the last 6 years, we spent $26 billion, 10 trillion naira. Yet, rather than quell the insurgency, it has expanded from the northeast to the northwest, to the north central, to the southwest, to the southeast, to the south-south. It has expanded. In this same country, Boko Haram terrorists went to a school, kidnapped girls, underage girls, raped them, forcefully confiscated, forcefully turned them into their wives. And over the last 3 weeks, over 1,000 of the same people came out with those girls. And our military hierarchy did placards for them. Nigerians forgive them. These are people who committed murder, killed military men, raped underage girls, abducted them, brought back those girls. Rather than talking about prosecutor, even shooting them, we are talking about giving them. We wrote placards. Okay. We wrote placards for them, gave to them that they have repented. See, let us be honest with ourselves. What is happening in Nigeria has every characteristic of what happened in Afghanistan. Until those of us in the south and middle belt open our eyes. Look at Sudan. It was the same madness in Sudan until Southern Sudan decided in 2011. We've had enough and voted for their independence. The same Northern Sudan who believed they could not do without Sharia in 2018 had a revolution that toppled Omar Bashir after 30 years of despotism because they had a Southern Sudan that they were leeching on. That they were, because terrorism cannot thrive in any society if they do not have a parasitic environment where they leech. So until the Southerners and the Middle Belters open our eyes to realize the existential threats facing us, anybody telling you that Nigeria cannot go the way of Afghanistan is deceiving himself. The only way it will not happen is if all of us come to that consciousness. And if these guys realize that a bulk of the indigenous Nigerians, middle belt, south, southeast, south, are much aware and are ready for them to say enough is enough. If we continue to play to political correctness, if we continue to be diplomatic towards this, I tell you, if it does not happen now, it may happen in future. We must be very conscious. The last speaker captured it. Every one of us, I have 3 children. I tell them, I bring them to the consciousness that it is possible. Everybody must be alert because everything points to one same. In the same government that is at the federal level, we have people who express sympathies for Afghanistan, for the Taliban, who are still at very sensitive positions in government, refuse to resign, and they are being pampered. This is the only country where terrorists are granted amnesty and priested. Go to look at the bandits. Gumi, we was into a camp of over 1,000 bandits with sophisticated weapons. They will move in 100 convoys of 100 of trucks and motorcycles. Yet the army will not locate them. The Air Force cannot locate them. But the same army and the Air Force, within a space of 2 months, quelled insurgency in the whole of the southeast and the south-south, covering over 154,000 square kilometers. 3 times bigger than Borno State. Let's be very, very careful. Anybody telling you that Afghanistan cannot happen in Nigeria is deceiving himself. It cannot happen if all of us come to that consciousness and open our eyes to say enough is enough. Political correctness cannot save us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see if the next person is here. Abbasi.
Yes.
Abbasi. Yes,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think Stella and the last speaker just said exactly what I wanted to contribute. And that's honestly speaking. I think the last speaker just said it fine. I think we have been talking conferences every time. It is enough talking and grammar. I have been saying it in various forums. we must make clear that enough is enough, because these people are just, in fact, I think that this present regime studied exactly as if they know what is happening in Afghanistan or what is going to happen. And they are just waiting for it. If we don't take time, it will strike today or tomorrow. Therefore, we must find a way of mobilizing the masses, and then they wake up. That's why I'm so annoyed with the so-called opposition. The opposition, all these things have been happening, and we have so stupid people calling themselves opposition leaders. What stops them calling out the masses and said, enough is enough? And then that the masses will stop it. That's what we had in Germany with the masses, and then the 70 years, America and the Soviet Union and France occupied Germany. But when the masses said enough is enough, that was the end, without gunshot. And that is what must happen in Nigeria. They are doing everything with impunity because nobody stops them. Nobody stops them. And we have leaders. And all of them were in the Kano or what for marriage. The useless so-called politicians who don't read history. They should read history. Is that what we suffered in Nigeria to have independence? And these people are seen every day, people being raped and all these things. I am government official, governor of Kano, went to see these terrorists with arms and had a photograph with them. The other governor made a speech that Nigeria is home country for the Fulanese and all this. And nobody has ever, no senator from the South has ever come out, or governor, and say, no, this cannot happen in Nigeria. We have a law. And then finally, constitution, this fraudulent constitution must be put on. And I'm surprised that nobody speaks about this. Even the television we have in Nigeria is bought over. They don't even talk of the fraudulent constitution to pull it off and then let Nigerians have a proper constitution. All of them did law. And if you know the meaning of constitutional, the first thing you do in law is a constitutional, this in law, and administrative law. And none of them talks about it. And we have senior advocates. I asked what is wrong with Nigeria, because we like our comfort zones. So that's the reason things are happening. And these people who cannot write their names will be tossing up us and down, and we keep quiet. So until we rise up, schoolboys, students, everybody march on the road and say, enough is enough. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Love listening to Ayo. Ayo, the platform is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll start by saying that I'm a committed Pan-Africanist. While I agree with the last two speakers in what they're saying, I want to say with all emphasis at my disposal that the people behind all this organized insurgency are a minority compared to our total population. And it is a minority that has become a majority because they are in power. I think what we should be doing is to see how we can collectively collect power from them, because already to the majority of indigenous Nigerians, they have discredited themselves. And until the majority of indigenous Nigerians, until we unite and fight these people to a stop, it is not a question of secession. It is not a question of breaking the country. It is a question of seizing power from them and then using the power to reorganize the country. Thank you.
So much, Ayo. Now let's go back to our guest for today, Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
Okay, thank you very much.
You have heard the different contributions. I don't think there was any question in any of the submissions, but you've had a lot of contributions. Is there anything you want to say before we let you go?
Yes, well, I will definitely say something. First, I'm happy a lot of them have addressed HMT as a myopic idea. You see, when people quote from out of knowledge, it even becomes more dangerous than those who don't know at all, they kept quiet. He's talking about brotherhood. If you know the history, I'm talking as an expert. NASA used the brotherhood. Hodeidi, their leader, used them to get power. And when he took power, he did away with the Sanusi, with the brotherhood. And recently, brotherhood came to power through election under Morsi. You know what happened? Until he was thrown out by the military. And telling us that what happened is in UK there, studied with some books. I don't know if he reads the book. And telling us that what happened in Afghanistan cannot happen in Nigeria. Is that not suicidal? And I've told you, and people talking about minority and majority. In every revolution, it is not the minority, it's not the majority that takes the lead. There's always a vanguard. The Russian Revolution was taken by the Bolsheviks, a small person, intellectuals, who mobilized the people. So you don't talk about the majority and the minority. You need people who have the boldness to organize, to galvanize and teach the people the realities on ground. You are not waiting for the masses. You say a train cannot move without what? Without an engine driver. The same thing with aeroplane. Everything needs to be piloted. And for him, and I've given instances about the percentage of Muslim population in Nigeria where they're operating. I gave the instance of what? Of Central African Republic, where 6% of Muslims of the population overthrew the government. And it took the intervention of the West for the man to leave. And today, Rwandan soldiers are protecting them. The people didn't fight. I gave instance again of Congo, of Congo DRC. They're just about 10% there. And they're fighting to overthrow the government. Mozambique, just as what happened, in Afghanistan, the Mozambican soldiers were running from them. How many of them are there? 6% of Muslims in Mozambique. And the troops were running until Rwandan soldiers came in, committed and disciplined, and pushed away the people. So we're not talking about majority or whatever. Let us look at the Nigerian situation. How many years did it take them to overthrow Biafra? 2.5 years. How much of the resources did Nigeria commit? Not much. We're not talking of Biafra with thick forests and bad terrain. 2.5 years mobilized. Now we're not talking about Boko Haram. 10 years. I've passed through side because when running from the same federal government, I ran through northern Cameroon and entered Maiduguri under with Central African Republic passport identity issued to me by United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Cameroon. I used to pass Nigeria down to Ghana. So I passed through that side. You are talking of a Boko Haram in which Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger republics are fighting in just a secluded area. And you are telling me for 10 years, they've not been able to, to drive them. And you're telling me that there's no sinister motive. And you're telling me that the present regime is not benefiting from it. Are you understanding one truck, one Hilux truck loaded with soldiers to go and attack them? And the same soldiers, the other ones will inform Boko Haram that they are coming and they will waste our soldiers. And I've often said, because soldiers, police, security men pass through me as an army, as a lecturer, and I've been able to, and I have brothers who are senior army officers, and I know what it takes to train an army officer, a captain, to train a captain in the army. The cost of training a captain, I know what it takes. And then they waste a captain, they waste a lieutenant colonel, an insurgency, and we're not talking about it. And the same people, because of the internal crisis, are saying that they are repented and we're accepting them. And the same people, because God will punish all our leaders, so all these people who refuse to talk. I'm saying it is prophetically. It is not only the religious people that are also prophetical. I have the right to be a prophet in this case. God will punish them. And you see somebody within our country, the the bandits will kidnap 150 students, 50 people in our forests, center of the country. And then they will raise millions, and somebody call and say, Gumi will be an intermediary. Think of if it's a southerner that has been an intermediary. Now, what will happen? They've been arresting small innocent people as informants to Eastern Security Network, wasting our young people, and nobody's talking about informants. And then somebody who calls himself Shegumi, Abubakar Shegumi, we go and meet the bandits in the center of Nigeria, and then discuss with them, and take money to them, give to the bandits. They will release those detained, and will come out a free man in our country. And we're sitting. Recently, a school proprietor in Abuja is talking about selling her school because she needed to raise money to pay ransom for the students. And we're there preaching every Sunday. God help us, pay tithe. And our general overseers are competing on buying of jets and helicopters. And we're contributing money to them, listening to them. You see, I want us to look at the seriousness of our talk, because nobody, even as I'm talking, I don't know about tomorrow. God may decide to take me. But before you die, make sure you don't die as somebody who refuses to talk. Our people say, let me speak in our language, in my mouth. Afueku nebuoken nekuano nebumata. That seeing and not saying is what kills the elder. The hearing and not doing is what kills the youngster. If you're a leader, even if you cannot do it, say something and leave it to the youths to now fail to do. You as an elder, you have saved yourself. You have saved your conscience for not saying anything. But for our leaders, our religious, traditional rulers, I have called the Oba of Benin, I sent letter to Oba of Benin to know, call the Southern traditional rulers, Southern Middle Belt. The Northern leaders meet under Sultan of Sokoto, nobody questions them. What stops Southern traditional rulers to see it and say, look, this is our land, bequeathed to us by ancestors. Enough is enough. They cannot do it. It's to wear overflowing gowns, skirts, and beads all over, and moving around unmajestically, where their subjects are dying. I'm saying it because I know what it takes to see people being executed without doing anything. I know what the pain Nigerians are moving around, are suffering. I witnessed the Nigerian Civil War as a kid. And as a 6-year-old kid, I was taught how to take cover against bullets. I was taught how to run against shellings, mortar them. If they are shelling mortar, we should run towards the mortar. I was taught all this. And I was in Libya with Gaddafi and other people. And they were telling us how they will take Nigeria. It's better we Christians take over. Then I was there. I was in Libya the day there was revolt in Benghazi, together with some Nigerian leaders, and we had to flee. So it's not that I'm aware. And some of these fighters in Mali, Tuaregs, I was with them. I knew them, and they told me everything. And I came back and wrote a letter to State Security Service. I tried to see the then director of operations, Ekuma Bayi, who was known to me, a Yoruba man. He refused to see me. I told them, look, I was just from Libya. This is what I saw. And it happened to Nigeria. Ekuma Bayi retired as a director. I tried to see him because I knew him before when he was assistant director. I knew him. And I tried to go, look, this is what is going to happen in Nigeria from experience in Libya. They did not give me audience. The same DSSS are now chasing me to extinguish my life because what I told them is happening now. And I said, look, what I told you people is happening and you people are the cause. We have to stop it. So let us look at it. For somebody to say it will not happen in Nigeria, it is already happening. Because let me tell you, if Nigeria takes 82 division station in Enugu, and then move into Niger State today, or move into Zamfara, we're talking of 82 division mobilized, they will clear the forest. If Nigeria takes a division of the army and moves into Sambisa forest, Cameroon coordinates with a division, Niger Republic coordinates with a division, Chad, connects with a division, Boko Haram will end within 2 weeks. I bet you. But they're not ready to take over because they are benefiting from it. Because these people are laying their foundation for them to be in power. And let me tell you, people who are talking of 2023 election are living in limbo. How can you go for election? Southern Kaduna, they are killing people. Jos, they are killing people. Zamfara, they are killing. Who are the people to vote? On that day, who will vote? Who will come out? Can you vote on the state of insecurity? So those people talking about being president of Igbo extraction, president of certain extraction, not extraction, they are somnambulating. They are sleepwalking. They are in a thinking. They are in a state of mirage. They don't know what is happening. Stability first. Fight for stability before we're talking of democracy. Because democracy cannot thrive cannot have without a state of stability. So the basic thing is that let us know today that the present ISIS, which are taking over, which has overthrown Boko Haram, the present ISIS, they are connected to international rings of ISIS. And these are connected, and today they see Taliban as what? As their patron saints today. And somebody telling me, and that's why they're jubilating. Before, they were operating as isolated and hitting terrorist networks. Now they have a base. They have a base, a government that is willing to extend their Islam fundamentalism abroad. And then you are telling me they are not happy. I'm telling me that Nigeria is not threatened. I think we are sleepwalking. And the day of reckoning, when it comes, even those in England, those in Britain, those in overseas, you see your people falling away from aeroplane as the Afghans were falling out the other time because they want to escape their fatherland. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Remember that we have been discussing the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan and its implications to Africa and Nigeria. Special thanks to our guest. He is the director, Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. He is also a research fellow in exile at the Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He's also an expert in ethno-religious conflict with particular focus on Black Africa and the Middle East. Here's Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today.
Thank you for the privilege of sharing our ideas together. May God bless all of
thank you so much for the participants that joined in the conversation. It was interactive, it was interesting. Remember to also stay back for our informal chat after this recording ends. Also remember to follow Elumba Television across all social media platforms. This video and this meeting was recorded and live streamed on Facebook and YouTube, and the recording is going to be out. So you can go there and watch it if you want to, if you missed the beginning and if you want to watch it again. Also follow me at Augusta Neka across our social media platform. I am going to hand over to Elumba Television now to coordinate the informal chat. Thank you so much.